All right, welcome back into another episode of Indiebnb. Today I'm joined by Michael Isaak, coming to us live from the Upper West Side in New York City. Michael, how we feeling today, man?
Good. I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Grant.
Of course, of course. Well, uh, you know, got sent some of your stuff from a few folks, and wanted to just get in and talk carpet maker. I mean, it seems like a really unique take on folk, and you want to hear from you. I guess like you've been doing this since 2022, right? Like, is it that kind of when this project got started, or was it before that?
I mean, I started putting out music in 2022 and I was making alternative music, more indie pop, more like center folk vibes. And I've played the guitar, like since high school, like for like about 6 or 7 years. And um, I've just like always loved like guitar music. But then I realized like when I started putting out music, I had this like gold mine of, influences that I didn't realize I had until, I started thinking about it. And the turning point for me was when I like went to Egypt for the first time in 2022, and I just remember like feeling this like world opening in my mind, and all the possibilities of like the kinds of music that I could be making. Having Egyptian parents, like I was raised on, Arabic music, and Egypt was like the center of music, and it was like the Hollywood of the Middle East. And so having that background, like I was like, it's wasted potential if I'm not doing something with this. But it was a journey, like getting from there to where I am now, because it's like back then I was like, okay, it should be easy. Like I'll just like put some oud on top of my songs and we'll see how it goes. And the funny part is like it really doesn't work like that. And so coming up with this project was really cool because I think the concept for the album itself is this process of discovery. It's like trying to figure out like how to express, my identity as an Egyptian American, with roots in Egypt, but being born and raised in the West, and like trying to express that identity through sound. And you can really like hear that, I think, in this album, um, being a departure from the music I've made previously.
Very cool. I mean, that's definitely gives some good context on like the journey. I mean, as far as that, so you go on that trip. Like, was there a moment on that trip where you were like, all right, we've got to pivot? Like, was it just walking in the street? Did you go to a show? Like, what were the things that kind of inspired you there?
Yeah, so I like went to like buy my oud in
Oh, cool.
Cairo, like my very first oud, and I had no idea how to play it too. That was the funny part, is I'd always dreamed about learning how to play it since I was a kid.
Hmm.
And so like we were walking and I looked up like what's the best, place to get musical instruments. And so we went. That was like just really wonderful. I got to play and then I just was like messing around with it. Of course I didn't like really learn it fully until I moved to New York a couple years ago. And I
Hmm.
studied at Columbia with like a really amazing professor. And I was in the Arabic music ensemble, and so I got to learn like traditional classic Arabic music. And that was like very eye-opening in particular because it just like, you can't like make music without like really immersing yourself in it. Like if you only listen to like one type of music, you're probably, you're limited, like you're limiting yourself in terms of what kind of music you can make, because you're not
Yeah.
drawing on a lot of things. And so a lot of it was like learning this music that was very familiar to me from my childhood, and then kind of unlocking the inner kind of like my old memories of this music, and then seeing how it like weaved its way into when I went back to the guitar and started composing new songs. And so it was a very like it was a process that like you really can't force. Because when I first wanted to do this sound, I had no idea what it would sound like. And when I was just kind of messing around with it at the beginning, it felt very forced. Like it felt like okay, this is like just an indie song, and then there's like a bunch of Arabic stuff on top of it. Like it sounds very, you know, just like Aladdin soundtrack vibes. And trying to get from there to where I am now was, I think, the biggest hurdle, because it was like, how do I make this sound natural? And like
Hmm.
ultimately I just needed to stop thinking about it entirely. I'm like, I ended up being like, if this is gonna be just another like folk album with like nothing in it, like that's fine. Like I just don't wanna force this, you know, I don't want it to be inauthentic. And so trying to find that out was, I think, my biggest challenge here.
Interesting, interesting. When you got back here with the oud, like how? I mean, you play guitar since you were in high school. Like, how was the translation? I mean, was there a lot of kind of things that you learned in the guitar that applied, or was it just like, all right, hey, we're starting from ground zero. I'm musically inclined. I'm gonna go study with our this professor and just get really good.
You know, like it's funny because people think, and me included, like I thought that like because the oud is like the ancestor to the guitar, you know, you'll find that it's like, you know, maybe it's the same instrument, it's just like a fretless guitar with like a couple extra strings or whatever. But no, it's super different.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, all of the technique in my left hand is relatively similar to if you play guitar, if you play any Spanish guitar, that technique. I always struggle with like, we don't use a guitar pick, or like we don't use like fingers. We use like it's like a long stick that's called a risha. And I think that was the hardest part, is like just using the like the just like the strumming technique was hard. And just a different musical vocabulary. I mean, you can't go on the oud and start playing like, you know, Wonderwall or like it's not like, it doesn't work like that. There's, when you learn Arabic music, it's not just learning how to play notes on an instrument. It's about learning what order to put the notes in order to like sound very like local or regional. And those little nuances are like really what make the instrument so unique, and which make Arabic music so unique in general, is like you can place where something comes from just based on something so small in one little intonation of something. And so that was just like fun, because I honestly took a break from writing at that point, and I really just wanted to immerse myself in the culture. And so like simultaneously, like I was taking Arabic classes, I was, you know, listening to music nonstop like while I studied, and I just wanted to like re-engage myself in this world that I felt absent from my whole life, you know, being far away from Egypt. And you know, then when I got back to writing, it just kind of came out a lot more naturally than what I tried before.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, like today, you know, you have the Carpet Maker that came out May 15th. Of course, it'll be linked down here in the down here below. But what, you know, for when you started that album specifically, and it had the, you know, that collection of songs, like was that something that, you know, you, what was the timeline? We get back from Egypt, we go through, you know, we're at Columbia, and then we start writing that, or where do, can it place me there when you started that project?
Yeah, no, I think because, you know, I was working on a different project in 2022 at the time, that
Hmm.
my very first EP, which came out in 2024, Forever is a Scary Word, and that was more of just like my debut as a songwriter and artist, and I really didn't have time to like think about the Arabic thing at that time.
Hmm.
And so then after that, I just kind of started collecting songs. You know, a lot of them I never put out. I put out a couple of them that were still more in the folk vibe. But it was like maybe summer of 2024 that I wrote the song "The Carpet Maker," and I was actually going through the voice memos the other day just for fun, but you know, I found that I wrote it in like May or May or June of 2024, and I remember thinking like, I was in a place where I was thinking about what would have happened if like I, in some other life, I'd never left Egypt and I was there, and like what I'd be up
Hmm.
to. The funny thing is I was so naive, because I, you know, didn't really know much about Egypt at the time, or I mean, I only knew like what my parents told me. Like I hadn't, you know, let's just say I don't know what I know now about Egypt and its
Yeah.
history and culture and music. And so it's super naive. Like it's a super naive take on, the East, on, what would it be like, this time travel vibe of going back and finding yourself in a village along the sea, and there's like a desert, and maybe I make carpets. And it's about like, I think when you're raised in the US and you have, your ethnic background in Egypt or wherever, like I find that us kids who share those experiences, like we tend to like grapple on to like these objects, like, these carpets that are like have these designs on them. It's like you see yourself in those objects because it's like, oh yeah, those are what I've seen from my grandparents' house. Or you just have these like
Hmm.
vague memories of, the homeland that maybe aren't that authentic ultimately, but they're what we think of when we think of home, or like what that even means. And so I was on that track and I wrote The Carpet Maker. And when I started collecting more songs, and then just definitely like writing more, I think less naively, after studying and after, learning the language and after just really immersing myself a lot more, I started writing like, I think ones that are more like more aware. And I was debating whether or not to like even go like record The Carpet Maker and like put it out. But then I was thinking about this whole naivete idea that it's like, this is something we all face. Like we all like struggle to understand like what homeland is. And so it ended up, becoming the concept for the rest of the album of
Hmm.
like, this is an album of starting at point zero where you know nothing and you're trying to really discover it, and you're trying to express that identity through sound. So yeah, it became a little bit more meta, the concept, but I definitely, I think as a first album to work with this sound, I feel like it's a great place to introduce listeners to, and it's a great place to like pinpoint my progression.
Very cool. I mean, when you say like you're like this, the first one of this, type, like, do you think as you go out and put more stuff out in the future, like, will it be more in this, in this category of the, with the Egyptian influence pretty heavy, or would you think you'll ever go back to, indie pop? Is there, kind of ping pong in your head, or you're like, you know what, we're on the the discovery part. I want to really go lean in and go all in on that.
Yeah, no, that's a good question because I feel like I never want to be static, so I never want to stay in
Yeah.
the exact sound, for, indefinitely. But I definitely am having a blast with this sound, so I definitely want to just be open to see how it progresses into
Hmm.
something new. Whether I'd go back to just, indie music, like I sometimes will write songs that don't fit into this, world that I've built on this new sound, and those are cool too. So I'm not like I never close myself off to anything really.
All right, so we're gonna see the Michael Isaac metal album coming out soon. With an electric dude.
The cool thing about it just feels like there's no limits really. Like we got into the
Hmm.
studio and we had no idea like how anything was going to sound, because we really like, it's not like we had reference tracks for the songs. Like it's not like we're
Hmm.
like it was very much like finding like a Big Thief song for like a specific like drum tone reference, and then some random like song from the 60s that my dad showed me for like an like the oud tone, and then like something else for and I think that's super fun too, because I saw all my influences like convalesce into one. Being like a huge fan of like Elliott Smith and like Sufjan Stevens and Big Thief and Adrienne Lenker and like all of those, and like Joni Mitchell, and like being so inspired by those. And then also just noticing the subtle similarities between those artists and then my favorite Egyptian artists that I grew up on. Like it was just a nice, like I had so much fun. Like I really want to just go back and record more music like as soon as possible, to be honest.
I love it. I love it. Getting in, and you get to see the worlds kind of melding together and into your art. That's a special thing. Well, with the Carpet Maker, I mean, Hold Your Keys is one song that, I wanted to spotlight today. For you to bring that from nothing to something, you've mentioned, a few influences with Big Thief and a few others. Of course, Big Thief, one of my favorite bands, of course. I want to hear from you, like how did you create Hold Your Keys? How did it start from nothing to something? I mean, it sounds like there's a voice memo kind of situation going on, but like, what's your process? What's that look like?
Yeah, no, definitely I'm one that I won't even touch recording, like I won't even open the DAW until I have a finished song that I can like play
Oh,
from
wow.
beginning to end. Like for me, like the having the song is the most important thing in the process. And so when it came to Hold Your Keys, that one I wrote later on in 2024, in September, October, sometime in the fall. And I remember it like started as like an unfinished like verse and chorus, and then
Hmm.
what ended up happening is that unfinished verse and chorus became the whole song because I realized, this is what I want to say, and like I don't want to say anything more. Like there's really it's a really simple song. The chord structure is really, pretty basic, and the difference though that I noticed when I was writing it is I used like a little bit of like the pentatonic scale when I was writing it, which is really popular in, Southern Egyptian music. And it's kind of like, along with a lot of like Saharan and sub-Saharan music is like that as well. It uses the pentatonic scale a lot. And that was something that, I didn't notice until later. Like I recorded this down and put it down. And then later I was like, oh yeah, this sounds totally like, this type of music that my dad used to play for me. And it started that way. And then I wrote, more songs for the album. With Hold Your Keys in particular, like I remember making a demo of it and, sending it around to some people. And it just wasn't like, I think I was always trying to do like too much with it. And then
Hmm.
when I met my friend Sohail in March of 2025, like biggest collaborator with me on the album, one of my closest friends, like he, like we just like would jam on, he would play the oud and I would play the guitar, and then we would just kind of like sit together and just see what we would come up with. And then I forgot, I think what it was we had these like house shows. We'll have these house shows. So Hale will plan, these art and poetry music nights at his apartment. And like 3 weeks after we first met, he was like, we should play something at the next event that I'm having. And then I had the idea, like, because, he had the oud and it was like super, like a very interesting instrument. I was like, what if like you just do like a minute long improvisation, which is very common in Arabic music. They're called taqsim. And I was like, why don't you just play like a improvisation 1 minute long, and then we'll come in to the song together and then we'll play through the song. And then that's how the structure kind of came to be, where like the what you hear in the recording, the first half of the recording is, an improvised oud solo that was improvised in the studio in real time. And then we came in and we went together. And the cool thing too about this, about recording this album and this song in particular, is that we recorded guitar, oud, vocals like all at the same time. Like day one in the studio, we sat down, we set up all the mics, and like we wanted to like make things sound as like live and raw as possible. And so yeah, like, it comes a long way from just, a voice memo on your phone to then meeting a
Hmm.
collaborator and then getting into the studio and then bringing it from beginning to end like that.
Wow. I mean, so do you feel like whenever you guys play it live, when you did it live the first time, but when you play it live, maybe like 2 weeks from now, like it'll be different just because the lead in could be much more a different improv, or is there kind of a overall structured theme, or what's that look like?
The cool part is how I think the improv kind of turned into a composition. And so now it,
Hmm.
it feels like it's a piece. Like it doesn't feel
Okay.
necessarily improvised anymore. Of course, we don't have it written down or anything like that. But it's something that too, when I'm like been learning how to play the oud, that like I practice that part of my own songs that I can be able to play it, on my own. And yeah, it's great. I think also I've like learned so much from Sohail just being around him and just like watching him play, that had a huge impact on the album in itself.
Yeah, always good to have some collaborators. Now, do you feel like he was a part of any of the other tracks as well?
Totally. Like basically we sat down together last summer before we started recording and just kind of like went through all the songs, and I was like, I want the oud to be like a very central instrument on the entire album. And so it worked out really nicely. And with me, like, having like studied a lot of like Arabic music in the last couple of years, like I was able to, you know, I had like ideas of what I wanted things to sound like before I could like be able to express them on the oud. I think now my skills on that instrument are much better, but at the time it was cool because I had these kind of like weird ideas about like, using certain Arabic scales with, guitar patterns and then overlaying them with each other. And literally the first time we like sat down, we played the fourth song on the album, which is Meditation. And that one is super cool because it uses a microtonal scale. And this is something that I randomly kind of figured out from like messing around with it on my computer for however long when I was in the demo stages of it. So when I first met Sohail, I was like, we're gonna try something that like might sound super weird, but like I'm gonna play this and like I want you to play like this scale, which has like a microtonal E half flat note in there. And it just sounded like it was like a moment of magic when it felt like we were like cracking the code to something.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, as you've, had it released, for a few weeks now, and, we're talking on June 2nd, but, what is the future? What are we, continuing? I know you mentioned, like, you think you're just starting to get into, your groove as the, kind of this, blend of Egyptian and indie music and really kind of leaning in. Like, where do we see the future? What are the things you're going to be putting out, rest of the year, and, tours? What we got going on? We got some more house shows.
Yeah, so definitely, like I said, like on day one in the studio, we recorded the whole album like beginning to end, but just, acoustically live with me on guitar, Sohail on the oud, and me singing vocals live as well. And so I still have those, day one recordings that I really want to put out because I think it really shows like the music being made in real time. Even though those are the recordings we built the rest of the tracks on top of. But I think having those stripped down versions, I think you can really hear the magic that I was talking about earlier. And so I really want to put out those day one recordings in like a deluxe version of some kind. And like I said, I'm probably going to go right back into the studio this summer, work on another project, which I've written a lot since I finished recording this album, I finished recording the album in October. So, yeah. And then shows wise, I'm going to be playing like a headline show in New York in the summer, to be announced, which I'm really excited about. Nice. And I want to play like in other cities. And, I'd really want to tour for go on tour with a larger artist as an opener. Of course, with, this sound, it's not like the easiest thing to find somebody who would like be a good, like who I would be a good compliment to. But, these are all things that are in the works that I'm very, I've been kind of on the grind on recently. And yeah, just like, I'm gonna be making like some cool, like lyric books to go with this album as well. I've been doing this project too where I've been like translating all the songs into Arabic, and then I'm gonna hopefully like do some calligraphy with the words as well. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening.
You're busy. I mean, goodness, you got all kinds of projects going on there. I love it. I love it. Well, of course, follow Michael on all the socials and all the places. They'll all be linked down below, so you can continually to get the scoop on all of the next things that are coming, and of course, go stream the Carpet Maker, on Spotify, and support him on wherever your Apple or wherever your music is consumed. But Michael, we'll transition now to a little bit more of a lighter side thing. Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. 20 questions right in a row. Really get to get the people hyped up for they come to the show. They need to know if you like cake or pie. They need to know if you like salad or soup. So let's make sure they're educated on this stuff.
Okay, awesome.
All right, Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. 20 questions right in a row. Michael Isaak, cake or pie? Let's do it.
Definitely cake, but like I prefer like an ice cream cake or like a strawberry shortcake.
Oh, okay. All right, something a little bit fresh. I like that. Like little ice to it. I like. All right, salad or soup?
Probably soup.
All right.
Like I have this like favorite like chicken lemon soup that my grandma used to make, so that's
Ooh.
like top.
That sounds really good. Sunrise or sunset? What are you seeing more of these days?
Definitely sunset. I mean, we've had like the Manhattan Henge recently, and so
Yeah.
it's cool. It's like that, like where the sun kind of reflects on the buildings. That's been really beautiful to watch, especially like now's the time to see it. So
Yeah, golden hour, baby. We got to get it. All right. Would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
I think probably a home run, like just because I think it's like the satisfying like completing the diamond shape.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Night in or night out? What are you having more of these days?
Um, I've been having more nights in recently, but I do love a night out. Like I do love when I'm in the mood for it. Like I do love a night out.
I like it. Got to build up. But when you do build up and you get out there, are you more likely to hit the robot or the worm on the dance floor?
Probably the robot. Like I'm really like not a good dancer at all. Like I like it all my like all my eggs are in the like singing basket, not the dancing basket, unfortunately.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, hey, just get out there. I love it. Guac or queso at your favorite Tex-Mex spot?
Guac for sure. Like I'm from Los Angeles, or like I was born and raised in Los Angeles, so like guac love.
Awesome. Awesome. Waffles or pancakes?
I think pancakes. Like blueberry pancakes are my favorite.
Awesome. Okay. Coffee or tea with your blueberry pancakes?
I love both coffee and tea, so like it's really hard. I'll go with like coffee. I feel like I think I used to be more of a tea person, but like recently I've been way more of a coffee person.
I like it. All right. Dogs or cats?
Dogs for sure.
All right. Do you identify more with a ninja or a pirate?
I feel like the carpet maker would have been, if anything, a pirate over a ninja. So I'll go with pirate.
All right. All right. Chips or pretzels?
Chips.
All right. Fries or tots?
Like fries that are like just thick enough and then like are really crunchy on the outside, but then have like a nice like soft inside.
The perfect fry.
The perfect fry. But if it's not that, then tots. But like fries for sure.
Okay. TV show or movie after a long day?
Probably TV show or even like a YouTube video essay to be
Yeah.
honest. But I do love a movie. But probably like if I had a long day, then probably just something shorter like a TV show.
All right. Are aliens real?
Um, Good question. I think like in all honesty, like I think they are, but like not the way that we would imagine them to be. Like I'm sure there
Yeah.
is some sort of life outside of this planet or this galaxy, but like it's probably like either microscopic or like it's definitely something that like we'd be like, oh, that's not an alien because it doesn't align with like what we've seen in like
Whatever.
movies. But I
Yeah.
think like maybe like there could be. I know for a fact that like the aliens that like the Men in Black and like all of the like mythological kinds of depictions of aliens, like none of those are real, but like there's a possibility like that there is some form of life.
All right. So you're thinking microscopic. I like that. It's not how we
Yeah.
would picture it. Not how we would picture it is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it. Okay. If you were a fruit, what kind of fruit would you be?
I think okay. I think I'd be a mango because like either like a peach or a mango. Like a mango is like nice and like put together on like the outside, but like when you like cut it open, like the like there's a lot of like juice and like a lot of
Yeah.
like it kind of like melts, like the like the flesh of the fruit kind of melts. I feel like my songs are like that because like I think they're very like on the surface I feel like they have like a kind of an intuitive meaning on the surface, but then if you like really like go line by line, like unpack them, then like all of the juices I feel like come out.
All right. So you're saying we got to go listen to your songs and eat a mango. I like it. I like
Yeah,
it. All
or
right.
like both at the same time, like have it on while eating a mango.
Yes. I love it. All right. Is love at first sight real?
Not that I can attest to, unfortunately, but I hope so.
Yeah. All right. And give us two bands that we ought to check out that we might not know.
Okay. So I'll like Big Thief doesn't count because we've talked about them already, so I can give two more.
Okay.
Definitely, like I'll give like an Arabic one and an like American one. So like the an Arabic band that everybody should check out is the Masriin. They're like kind of a funk like jazzy pop band from Egypt from like the 70s, and they're super cool. And then a band from like Western music that I've been listening to a bunch, or just like an artist. I feel like, you know what? I'll go with Big Thief. I feel like I listen to them a lot, actually.
I'm also a big Beak Thief fan, so I love it. Love it. Always will recommend them.
Yeah.
You know, heard it here from Michael Isaac. Well, you've conquered the Pete Peterson party pack of questions. Michael Isaac, everyone go check out, you know, his Egyptian folk fusion. He's got some awesome tunes on the Carpet Maker, and you know, follow him on all the places where you can find him, and he will be coming out with more stuff soon. And New Yorkers, a show soon. We'll you know, it's gonna be awesome. So, Michael, I appreciate you taking the time to connect with us, and you know, look forward to having you on again.
Yeah, thanks so much, Grant. Really appreciate it. I had an awesome time talking to you.
You got it, man.